My phone buzzed on the coffee table while I was helping Claire debug a Python script, and when I saw the notification from our family group chat, I figured it was another photo of my nephew Tyler's soccer game or my niece Emma's art project. Opened it. Read the first line, then read it again. Vanessa had posted in Harrison Family with a heading that said 2025 Beach House Guidelines, followed by 3 numbered rules. Rule 1 was about booking 2 weeks in advance. Rule 2 covered cleaning before checkout. Rule 3 stopped me cold. No kids, block no access. Family homes are for families. All caps on families. Like she was making a point. Derek's like appeared immediately. Then my mom's comment, enthusiastic and supportive. Very organized, Vanessa. I stared at the screen. The beach house Vanessa was making rules for wasn't hers. It was mine. Had been for 8 months since my grandmother passed away and left it to me in her will. A decision that had clearly surprised my older brother Derek, who'd spent years positioning himself as the golden child and family man. Claire looked over. Everything okay? I handed her the phone without speaking. Watched her face change as she read it. She made rules for your house, Claire said slowly. Not a question. Apparently. And the no kids thing. I don't have kids, so by her logic, I don't have access to my own property. Claire set the phone down carefully. What are you going to do? I took a screenshot of Vanessa's post. Saved it to a folder on my phone labeled Family Receipts that I'd been keeping for about a year. Then I put the phone face down on the table and went back to Claire's code. Nothing, I said. Not yet. The beach house situation had been building for months. Grandma left it to me, 87 years old and sharp as ever when she'd updated her will. And the lawyer had told me later she'd been very specific about it going to Marcus, not to be split or sold or shared. Derek had been furious but couldn't say anything directly because it would have looked bad. So instead, he'd just assumed he'd still have access like always. Which he had. Because I'd been nice about it. Vanessa had started with small asks. July 4th weekend. Could they use it? Sure. Labor Day? Fine. September she'd messaged asking for a spare key for emergencies, and I'd told her the door code worked fine, no need for a physical key. She'd pushed back, said it would be easier, and I'd held firm on that one small boundary. Now she was making rules. I'd let Derek's family use the house maybe 6 times since I inherited it. Never charged them. Never complained when they left it messy. Never said anything about Vanessa posting photos on social media like she owned the place, captions about our family beach house and making memories in our special place. $800,000 worth of coastal property in my name, and my sister-in-law had just posted guidelines for who could use it. Week went by. I didn't respond to the group chat post, didn't acknowledge it, just let it sit there while other family members liked it, and Mom commented again about how helpful it was to have everything organized. That Saturday, I drove 2 hours to the beach house with a duffel bag full of tools and a box containing a new smart lock system. Changed every lock on the property, installed keypad entry that only I could control, changed the Wi-Fi password, took photos of every room to document condition, posted nothing on social media, told no one I'd been there. Drove home and had dinner with Claire like nothing had happened. The following Wednesday, my phone lit up with a text from Vanessa. Hey, trying to book the house for spring break but the code isn't working? 2 question marks, like it was urgent. I typed back 3 words. Change the locks. Phone rang 30 seconds later. Vanessa's name on the screen. Let it go to voicemail. She texted again. Why did you change them? My house, my locks. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Then, can you send me the new code? No. Marcus, we had spring break planned. You posted guidelines for my house without asking me. That showed me exactly how you see this situation, so I'm clarifying. It's my house, not available for bookings. Dots. Then nothing. 5 minutes of silence before the family group chat exploded. Vanessa's message appeared first, all caps and exclamation points. Marcus changed the locks on the beach house without telling anyone. Derek jumped in immediately. Dude, seriously, we had plans. Mom's message was gentler but confused. Marcus, honey, is everything okay? I let them stack up for a few minutes. Let the panic build. Then I typed my response carefully, made sure every word was deliberate. Check the guidelines Vanessa posted. Rule 3. No kids, no access. I don't have kids, so per your rules, I don't have access to my own house. I fixed that. No one has access now. Problem solved. The group chat went silent for about 10 seconds. Then Vanessa again. That's not what I meant. Then you should have been clearer when making rules for property you don't own. House is unavailable for bookings. Appreciate your understanding. My phone started ringing immediately. Mom's number. I answered on speaker. Marcus, what is going on? Her voice was tight with that specific anxiety that meant family drama. Vanessa made rules for my house. I didn't appreciate it, so I'm taking back control of my property. She was just trying to keep things organized. By deciding who counts as family? By making access contingent on having children? You're twisting her words. Am I? Or am I just taking them at face value? Mom made that sound she'd been making since I was a kid. Half sigh, half groan. The one that meant I was being difficult. Your father wants to talk to you. Dad's voice came on, deeper and already irritated. This is childish, Marcus. What is? Controlling access to my own property? Making a scene over a misunderstanding? There's no scene, Dad. Vanessa posted rules. I'm following them. She said family homes are for families. She excluded me from her definition of family, so I'm responding accordingly. No one excluded you. Then explain the rule. He couldn't. Just made some vague statement about not understanding and how we'd talk later when everyone calmed down. I told him I was perfectly calm and hung up. Derek texted an hour later. You're being a child over a fucking social media post. I'm being clear. You wanted rules. I'm following them. You know what she meant. Do I? Because what I saw was someone making declarations about property that isn't hers, and someone who apparently doesn't think I count as real family because I don't have kids. That's not what she said. Word for word, Derek. Screenshot if you need to check. He didn't respond after that. 2 days of quiet. Then my phone buzzed with a notification that made my jaw clench. Someone had added me to a group chat. For about 4 seconds I could see the name, Real Harrison Family. Then I watched myself get removed, but not before I saw 3 messages. Vanessa. Marcus thinks he's better than us because he makes 6 figures and doesn't have kids. Derek. He's punishing us for actually having a family and responsibilities. Mom. I don't know what we did wrong raising him. I took screenshots of all 3 before the chat disappeared. Saved them to the same folder as Vanessa's beach house rules. Didn't text anyone, didn't call, didn't confront them about it. Just saved the evidence and went about my day. Claire found me that evening sitting on the couch staring at my phone. You okay? They created a group chat called Real Harrison Family without me in it. She sat down beside me. Marcus? I'm fine, really. It just confirms what I already knew. Which is? That I'm not part of their family, at least not the family they want. Showed her the screenshots. She read them in silence, then set my phone down and took my hand. What are you going to do? Nothing. Let them talk. I've got proof now of how they really see me. 2 weeks passed. Work, gym, dinners with Claire, normal life. The family group chat stayed quiet except for photos of Tyler's basketball game and Emma's school play. No one mentioned the beach house. No one mentioned the other group chat. Then Derek called on a Tuesday evening. First time we'd spoken since the lock incident. Hey. His voice sounded strained. What's up? I need a favor. Here we go. What kind of favor? Financial. Had some storm damage to the roof last week. Insurance deductible is destroying me. Need to borrow $12,000 to cover repairs. I let the silence sit for a moment. $12,000, 6% interest, formal contract. Marcus, come on, we're brothers. Which is why I'm offering to lend instead of saying no. $12,000, 6%, payback schedule in writing. Take it or leave it. More silence on his end. I could almost hear him grinding his teeth. Fine, send me the contract. I sent it that night. Standard loan agreement, payment schedule, interest calculations, late fee clause. Everything legal and binding. He signed it without commenting, and I transferred the money the next day. Vanessa sent me a text that night. Really? A contract with your own brother? I didn't respond. Life continued. Work promoted me to senior engineer with a raise. Claire and I talked about moving in together. I used the beach house twice in November, posted photos both times, tagged the location, got likes from college friends and coworkers. Zero comments from family. December arrived cold and gray. News started running stories about a hurricane system forming in the Atlantic. Unusual for the season but not unprecedented. Meteorologists tracking it, predicting northward path, possibly hitting the eastern seaboard. Derek and Vanessa lived in a coastal suburb. Nice neighborhood, good schools, but in a flood zone. I knew because I'd mentioned it when they bought the house 3 years ago, and Derek had waved me off saying insurance covered it, and they got a good price. The hurricane was still a week out, forecasts changing daily, but already the pattern was forming. The one where Derek assumed everything would be fine and refused to prepare until it was too late. Vanessa had wanted family rules. Clear boundaries about who belonged and who didn't. She'd wanted organization and structure and defined roles. I'd given her exactly that. My family, my rules, my property, and she wasn't family. She'd made that perfectly clear. 3 weeks after the lock incident, the news started showing satellite images of a hurricane system that had meteorologists genuinely worried. Category 3, tracking north along the coast, projected landfall somewhere between Delaware and Massachusetts. Derek's suburb sat right in the predicted impact zone. Mandatory evacuation orders went out on a Friday. I saw it on the Weather Channel at work, checked my phone, pulled up the evacuation map. Derek's zip code highlighted in red. Mandatory meant not optional, meant get out now, meant this was serious. I texted him during my lunch break. Evacuation order is mandatory, get out. Response came back 20 minutes later. We've been through this before. They always exaggerate, we're fine. Stared at that message for a long moment. Then I called him. He answered on the third ring, sounding distracted. Marcus, I'm at work, what's up? The evacuation isn't optional. They're saying storm surge could hit 8 feet. They said that 2 years ago and we got 3 inches of water in the street. Derek, this is different. Category 3, possibly 4. Just get out. Heard Vanessa in the background asking who it was. Derek's muffled response, then her voice clearer. Is that Marcus? Why is he calling? Evacuation, Derek said to her. Then Vanessa, loud enough for me to hear clearly. Tell him we're fine, we don't need his advice. Derek back on the line. We're good, man. Thanks for checking. Hung up before I could respond. Sat in my car after work that evening, engine running, heat on against the December cold. Made a decision I knew would probably blow up in my face but couldn't not make. Called Derek again. He answered, irritated. I have a 2-bedroom apartment, I said before he could speak. Inland, safe zone. You can stay here during the evacuation. Free, all 4 of you. Silence. Then Derek's voice, careful. Why would you offer that? Because I don't want my niece and nephew in danger. More silence. Heard him put his hand over the phone, muffled conversation. Then Vanessa's voice came through, not muffled, speaking directly to Derek but meant for me to hear. We are not staying with him, Derek came back on. We're fine, Marcus. Stop being dramatic. Weather Service always overestimates these things. Offer stands for 24 hours, I said. After that, you're on your own. Hung up. Opened my phone timer, set it for 24 hours, labeled it Derek Evacuation Offer. Let it run. My parents lived inland, safe from storm surge, but they evacuated anyway. Mom called me that night from a hotel in Pennsylvania saying they'd rather be overprepared than sorry. Asked if I'd talk to Derek. I offered them my apartment. They refused. Oh, thank God, Mom said, relief obvious. I was worried they'd have nowhere to go. They still have nowhere. They refused help. They're staying in the house. What? In the evacuation zone? Derek says the weather service exaggerates. Marcus, that's dangerous. Can't you convince him? I offered shelter. He said no. That's his choice. Mom started to say something about family responsibility, but I'd already learned that lesson. Family responsibility apparently meant Derek's family, not mine. Saturday morning, my timer went off. 24 hours exactly. Picked up my phone and texted Derek. Offer expired. Good luck. Read receipt showed he saw it immediately. Dots appeared like he was typing. Disappeared. Appeared again. Disappeared. No message came through. Found out later from my mom that Vanessa had seen the text over Derek's shoulder and called me a jerk. Derek hadn't disagreed. The hurricane hit Sunday evening, upgraded to Category 4 about 6 hours before landfall. I watched the news coverage from my apartment with Claire, both of us on the couch with Chinese food and mounting dread as the reports came in. Storm surge wasn't 8 feet. It was 12. Derek's coastal suburb took the worst of it. News helicopters showed streets turned into rivers, cars floating, water reaching second-story windows in some areas. The footage was apocalyptic. My phone stayed silent. No calls from Derek. No texts. Nothing from my parents who were still at their hotel watching the same coverage I was. Monday morning, the water started receding. News showed National Guard boats doing rescues, people on roofs holding pets and children, the whole disaster movie scene playing out in real life. Tuesday, Derek finally texted, "We're okay. Got evacuated to shelter. House is bad." How bad? Don't know yet. Can't get back to the street. Wednesday, they let residents return to assess damage. I knew because my mom called me crying, which she only did when things were genuinely catastrophic. Marcus, Derek's house, it's destroyed. Everything. The whole first floor is just gone. Where are they now? Still at the shelter. Insurance adjuster is saying months to process the claim. They need somewhere to stay. Here it comes. They can stay with you. They are. We're picking them up this afternoon. But Marcus, our house only has 3 bedrooms. Derek and Vanessa will be on the pull-out couch. The kids will share the guest room. It's going to be tight. Sounds challenging. You have 2 bedrooms. There it was. And I offered them before the storm. They said no. This is different. They didn't have a choice then. They had a choice, Mom. Evacuate or stay. They chose to stay. I'm sorry their house got destroyed, but that was the risk they took. She tried several more angles. Family obligation. Think of the children. Just temporary. Be the bigger person. I let her run through the whole script, stayed calm, kept my answers short. No was a complete sentence. I used it 3 times before she gave up. Week 1 of Derek's family living with my parents, I got daily updates I didn't ask for. Mom texting about how cramped it was, how the kids were loud and energetic, and her house wasn't set up for children. How Vanessa complained about everything. How Derek was stressed and snapping at everyone. Day 8, Mom called again. Can they stay with you? Please, Marcus, just until the insurance money comes through. No. You have 2 bedrooms. Derek is sleeping on our couch. The kids are in sleeping bags. Derek had a chance to evacuate to my place. He chose pride over safety. This is different. How? Explain to me how this is different. His house is destroyed, Marcus. And whose fault is that? Who refused to evacuate when ordered? Who turned down free shelter because his wife didn't want to accept help from me? Mom went quiet. Then, voice tight. You're really going to throw that in his face while he's homeless? I'm not throwing anything. I'm stating facts. He made choices. Choices have consequences. This is the consequence. She hung up on me. First time she'd ever done that. Payment number 2 on Derek's loan came due that week. I sent the automated reminder from my payment tracking app. It pinged his phone at 9 a.m. with the amount and due date. He paid it same day. $1,200 from his dwindling savings account while he lived on my parents' couch with no idea when his house would be livable again. Found out from Mom later that Vanessa had lost it when she saw the payment notification. We're paying him while we're homeless? Derek had apparently tried to explain the contract, and Vanessa had told him to do something anatomically impossible to the contract. Mom said Vanessa wanted Derek to call me and ask for suspension of payments until they got back on their feet. Derek hadn't called. Too proud. Paid instead. The irony wasn't lost on me. Pride had kept him in an evacuation zone during a hurricane. Pride had made him refuse my apartment. And now, pride was making him drain his savings to make loan payments while his family slept on floors and couches. Month passed. Derek's family still at my parents' house. Insurance claims still processing. Adjusters saying the damage was extensive, foundation might be compromised, could be looking at a total rebuild which would take months to approve. My parents' calls became less frequent. When Mom did call, she sounded exhausted. Dad had started working longer hours at the office just to avoid the chaos at home. Vanessa and my mom were barely speaking after some argument about Emma's bedtime. The kids were acting out from instability and stress. I listened to these updates while sitting in my apartment. 2 bedrooms. One I used as an office. One I slept in. Quiet, peaceful, organized exactly how I wanted it. My second bedroom had a futon that converted to a bed. Could easily sleep 2 kids. The office could have been converted to a bedroom for Derek and Vanessa in about an hour. I had the space. They knew I had the space. Everyone knew. And every day I didn't offer, it was a choice. A deliberate, conscious choice. Claire asked me one night if I felt guilty. We were having dinner at my place, pasta I'd made, wine she'd brought. She'd been quiet through most of the meal. About what? I asked, though I knew. Derek, his family, your parents' house. Should I feel guilty? I don't know. That's why I'm asking. I thought about it. Really thought about it. No. I offered help before the storm. Real help. Safe shelter. He refused because Vanessa couldn't stand the idea of accepting anything from me. That's not my problem. It's your nephew and niece sleeping on the floor. Because their parents made bad choices. I'm not responsible for protecting them from consequences. Claire nodded slowly. Okay. You think I'm wrong? I think you're consistent. Vanessa made rules for your house. You made rules for your help. She didn't like yours any more than you liked hers. Exactly. 6 weeks post-flood, my parents called a family meeting. I knew before I answered what it would be about. Dad's voice was strained. We need to talk about the living situation. Derek's situation, you mean? They can't stay here indefinitely. The house is too small. Everyone's miserable. So tell them to find an apartment. With what money, Marcus? The insurance hasn't paid out yet. Derek's savings are gone. Last security deposit. He doesn't have it. That's unfortunate. You could help. I already offered to help, before the storm. The offer was declined. That was then. This is now. And the answer is still no. Dad's voice rose. He's your brother. Is he? Because the last group chat I saw him in was called Real Harrison Family, and I wasn't included. Silence on the line. You're really going to hold that against him while his family is homeless? I'm going to enforce the boundaries he established. He decided I wasn't real family. Fine. I'm treating him accordingly. Mom got on the line. Please, Marcus, I'm begging you. I'm sorry you're stressed, Mom. I really am. But this isn't my problem to solve. Derek made choices. He's dealing with the consequences. That's called being an adult. They tried for another 15 minutes. Guilt trips, obligation speeches, appeals to family unity. Nothing worked because I'd already made my decision weeks ago. When I hung up, I looked at my second bedroom. Empty. Quiet. Mine. They were drowning 30 minutes away in a 3-bedroom house with 6 people and not enough space or privacy or patience. I had a life raft, a big one, plenty of room. I just wasn't throwing it. Vanessa had said family homes are for families. She'd created that rule, posted it publicly, defined who counted as family and who didn't. I was teaching her what happens when you're not family. You don't get the beach house. You don't get the apartment. You don't get help. She'd wanted rules. She got them. 6 weeks into the chaos, my parents called with voices that sounded like they'd aged 10 years. Dad did most of the talking while Mom cried quietly in the background. We can't do this anymore, he said. No preamble, no small talk. Can't do what? 4 extra people in our house. We're supposed to be retired. This is too much. So tell Derek to find somewhere else. He doesn't have anywhere else, Marcus. That's the whole problem. He made his choice 6 weeks ago when he ignored the evacuation order. Mom's voice broke through, sharp with desperation. He didn't choose a hurricane. He chose not to evacuate. He chose to turn down my offer of shelter. These are the consequences of those choices. Dad started to argue, but I'd already heard it all before. Hung up while he was mid-sentence. 2 days later, my phone rang with Derek's number. First time he'd called me directly since before the flood. I almost didn't answer. Let it ring 3 times before picking up. Yeah. His voice sounded rough. Tired. Can we talk? We're talking. Silence for a moment. Then, barely above a whisper. Can my family stay with you? Just temporarily. Until the insurance comes through? No. Marcus, please, just until... You had that chance. Before the storm. You said no. That was different. We didn't know. You knew exactly what the risks were. Mandatory evacuation means mandatory. You chose to ignore it. That's on you. Hung up. He didn't call back. 3 days passed. Thursday evening, 8 p.m., my phone rang with Vanessa's number. Stared at it for 3 rings. Almost let it go to voicemail. Something made me answer. Marcus. Her voice was shaking. Not angry shaking. Desperate shaking. The kind that comes from someone who's hit bottom and is still falling. I didn't respond. Just waited. Marcus, please. I need to talk to you. More silence from my end. The kids are miserable. Your parents can't handle this. We've been there almost 2 months. We just need a few months at your place just until we can get back into our house. Why are you calling me, Vanessa? She stopped mid-sentence. What? Why are you calling me specifically? Because you have space. Because we're family. Because we need help. What were the beach house rules you posted? Confusion in her voice. What? In the family group chat, January, you posted beach house guidelines. What were they? I don't... Marcus, that's not relevant right now. Rule 3, repeat it for me. Silence. Long enough I could hear her breathing change. Vanessa. Rule 3. Her voice came out quiet. Defeated. No kids equals no access. Why did you make that rule? I thought it was about families with children having priority, about keeping the house for real families who needed it for, so I wasn't family. That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? Use your words, Vanessa. You're calling me asking for help. Explain to me why I should help someone who publicly declared I wasn't family. She started crying, actual sobs coming through the phone. I was wrong, okay? I'm sorry. I didn't think about how it sounded. I was just trying to organize. You were trying to control property that wasn't yours. You were trying to decide who counted as family and who didn't, and you decided I didn't count. Marcus, please. I'm begging you. The kids are sleeping on air mattresses. Emma cries every night. Tyler is acting out at school. We're all miserable. Just a few months. Vanessa, I said, calm and cold and clear. You said family homes are for families. Silence. You're not family. The sob that came through the phone was raw, broken. She tried to say something, choked on it. Then the line went silent. She'd hung up. My phone rang again immediately. Declined. Rang again. Declined. 3 more times in the next 2 minutes. I declined all of them. Set the phone on the table and went back to the dinner Claire had made. She'd heard the whole conversation from the kitchen, stood in the doorway now watching me. That was brutal, she said quietly. It was necessary. Found out later from Mom that Vanessa had run to Derek crying, told him what I'd said. Derek had lost it completely. My phone lit up with texts I read but didn't respond to. You no longer exist to me. You heard me? Don't ever contact me again. I can't believe you'd say that to my wife while we're homeless. You're not my brother anymore. I opened my photo folder. Found the screenshots from the Real Harrison family group chat. The ones where Vanessa said I thought I was better than them. Where Derek said I was punishing them for having a real family. Where Mom said she didn't know what she'd done wrong raising me. Forwarded all 3 screenshots to Derek. Then typed one message. You're right. I was never part of your real family. You made that clear. I'm just following the boundaries you established. Good luck with the house. He blocked me within 30 seconds. That evening around 9 p.m. someone knocked on my apartment door. Hard. Insistent. Looked through the peephole and saw both my parents standing there. Opened the door. Didn't invite them in. Mom's face was blotchy from crying. Dad looked like he wanted to hit something. How can you be so cruel? Mom asked before I could speak. I offered help before the storm. Derek refused. That was before, she shouted. Actually shouted, which she never did. Before the hurricane, before they lost everything. Before they lost everything because Derek refused to evacuate when ordered. I'm not responsible for Derek's bad decisions. Dad stepped forward. Those children don't deserve to suffer because of your pride. Neither did I. When Vanessa made rules for my house, when you all created a group chat without me, when Derek borrowed $12,000 and you all talked about how I was being unreasonable for asking for a contract. But here we are. Mom made us sound like a wounded animal. We never excluded you. Pulled out my phone. Showed them the screenshots of the real Harrison family chat. Watched Mom's face go pale. Dad's jaw clenched. Vanessa was upset, Dad tried. Vanessa made choices. Derek made choices. You made choices when you created that chat and didn't tell me about it. I'm making choices now. The choice is no. They can't stay here. You have space, Mom practically screamed it. Yes, and it's mine. For me. Not for people who decided I wasn't real family until they needed something. Stepped back and closed the door. Locked it. They knocked for another minute before leaving. Week later, Derek's loan payment number 4 came due. He missed the deadline by 2 days. I sent the automated late fee notice. $150 added to the principal per the contract. Got a text from Mom's phone with Derek's words. Our house is destroyed and you're charging late fees? Responded with one line. Contract doesn't have a flood exception. Payment plus late fee due by end of week. Mom paid it. I accepted the payment without comment. Business is business. Month 3. Post-flood, Derek finally got his insurance payout. Mom called to tell me, voice somewhere between relieved and resentful. $180,000. It's enough to repair the house. That's good? Contractors are saying 8 weeks for basic repairs. Another month after that for finishing work. So 3 more months at your place. She made that wounded sound again and hung up. The contractors started work in late March. I knew because Vanessa posted photos on Facebook of the construction, captions about rebuilding and fresh starts and coming back stronger. Comments from friends and distant relatives offering support and encouragement. She never mentioned why they'd been in the evacuation zone during a mandatory evacuation. Never mentioned turning down shelter. Never mentioned any of it. Just positioned herself as a victim of circumstances beyond her control. Month 4, first week of April, Derek's family moved back into their house. The repairs weren't complete, but it was livable. Drywall up, floors installed, appliances functional. Not finished, but enough. Claire showed me Vanessa's Facebook post that night. Long caption about finally being home, about surviving the storm and the aftermath, about being grateful for the people who supported them through the hardest time of their lives. Last line made my jaw clench. Survived the storm and the heartless family members who abandoned us when we needed them most. Claire looked at me. You going to respond? No. You're just going to let her say that? She can say whatever she wants. Anyone who matters knows the truth. Blocked Vanessa on Facebook. Blocked Derek while I was at it. Blocked both their phone numbers. They were out of my parents' house. Out of immediate danger. Back to their lives. And out of mine. Vanessa had called me heartless. The woman who'd made rules for property that wasn't hers. Who'd excluded me from her definition of family. Who'd refused my shelter offer before the storm out of pride and spite. Who'd only called me when she had no other options. She'd wanted family homes for families. I'd given her exactly what she asked for. She just hadn't expected to be on the wrong side of that equation. Family homes are for families. And she wasn't family. She'd made that rule. I'd just enforced it. 6 months later, life looked different. Claire and I got engaged in October. Small proposal at the beach house with just the two of us in the sunset. Work promoted me to lead engineer with a salary bump that put me solidly into 6 figures. Used the beach house almost every weekend, posted photos occasionally, lived my life. Zero contact with my family. None from Derek or Vanessa. Occasional texts from mom asking how I was, which I answered with 1 or 2 words. Nothing from dad. It was quiet. Peaceful. Exactly what I wanted. Derek wasn't doing as well. Found out through mom during one of her brief check-in calls that he'd been laid off in September. Company downsizing, last hired, first fired, standard corporate stuff. He'd been at that job less than 2 years. The house repairs had been done cheap to save money. Mold kept coming back. They'd need to redo the whole first floor properly, but didn't have the funds. Vanessa had taken a retail job to supplement unemployment. Kids were struggling in school. Mom told me this like I was supposed to feel something. Do something. I didn't. November, week before Thanksgiving, my cousin Jennifer sent me a screenshot. Vanessa's Facebook post, long and emotional and very public. The post talked about family betrayal, about how some people value money over relationships, about how greed wins and good people suffer, how she'd learned the hard way that blood doesn't mean loyalty. Never mentioned the beach house rules. Never mentioned refusing my evacuation offer. Never mentioned any of the actual facts. Just positioned herself as a victim of a heartless family member who could have helped but chose not to. The comments were full of support. Friends saying they were so sorry. Distant relatives offering prayers and encouragement. Aunt Marie calling unnamed family members disgraceful. Jennifer's message was direct. Is this about you? Yeah? Is it true? Half of it. She left out the parts where she made rules for my house and refused shelter before the hurricane. That's what I thought. You should respond. Sat with that for 2 days. Claire asked what I was going to do. Tell the truth. Spent an hour putting together the post. Screenshots of everything. Vanessa's original beach house rules with the no kids, no access line highlighted. The real Harrison family group chat messages. My text offering Derek shelter before the storm with his "we're fine" response. The conversation with Vanessa, where I told her she wasn't family. Arranged them in chronological order. Added a caption that laid out the timeline. Full context matters. In January, my sister-in-law posted rules for my beach house, including no kids or no access, which excluded me from my own property. In August, I offered my brother and his family free shelter during mandatory hurricane evacuation. They refused. After the storm destroyed their house, they asked to stay with me. I reminded them they'd already made it clear I wasn't family. Family respect goes both ways. Tagged it public, posted it. Within an hour, my phone was blowing up. Aunt Carol commented first. I had no idea Vanessa made rules for your house. That's completely inappropriate. Cousin Rob. Wait, you offered them shelter before the storm and they said no? Then asked to stay after? That's wild. Uncle Jim, my grandmother's brother. Your grandmother left that house to Marcus for a reason. She knew exactly what she was doing. Jennifer. This is the context I was missing. Thanks for clearing it up. The comments kept coming. Extended family, college friends, co-workers, people I hadn't talked to in years. Most of them supporting me, some asking questions, a few defending Vanessa but getting shut down by others who could see the screenshots. The narrative was flipping in real time. My phone rang. Dad's number. Answered it. Delete those posts, now. No. Marcus, I am not asking. I'm telling you. Delete them now. No. You're destroying this family. I'm showing the family what actually happened. If the truth destroys it, it was already broken. Mom's voice in the background. Then she got on the line. Please, Marcus. This is humiliating for Derek and Vanessa. They humiliated themselves when they lied about what happened. You need to choose. Mom said, voice shaking. Us or this grudge? It's not a grudge, Mom. It's boundaries. And I choose me, like you've chosen Derek my whole life. Silence. Then Dad again. If you don't delete those posts, you're not welcome at family events. Christmas, Thanksgiving, any of it. Okay? Okay, that's all you have to say? Yeah. Okay, I'm not welcome. Got it? Anything else? He hung up. Mom tried calling back 3 times. I didn't answer. Claire found me sitting on the couch staring at nothing. You okay? They uninvited me from family events. How do you feel? Relieved, honestly. No more pretending, no more obligation, just done. She sat next to me. No regrets? Not yet. Year passed. Claire and I spent Christmas at the beach house, just the 2 of us. Cooked dinner together, watched movies, walked on the beach on Christmas morning. It was the best Christmas I'd had in years. My phone rang while we were making breakfast. Mom's name on the screen. Claire glanced over. You gonna answer? Declined the call. Set the phone face down. They taught me about family priorities, I said. I learned the lesson, just not the one they intended. Later that day, we were sitting on the deck watching the sunset, Claire leaning against me, everything quiet except the waves. Any regrets? She asked. Thought about it. Really thought about it. Just one. What? That I didn't set boundaries sooner. Could have saved myself years of feeling like I wasn't enough. You think they'll ever apologize? Maybe, when they need something again. That's usually how it works. And if they do? Depends on what they're apologizing for. If it's because they're actually sorry, we can talk. If it's because they want something, the answer's already no. She nodded. We watched the sun sink lower, sky turning orange and pink and purple. Family homes are for families, I said quietly. They made that rule. I just followed it. Claire squeezed my hand. Your family now is me, and whatever we build together. Yeah, exactly. The sun touched the horizon and I thought about Vanessa's rules, about Derek's pride, about my parents choosing his needs over mine for 32 years, about that group chat called Real Harrison Family that I was never supposed to see. Vanessa had wanted rules. Clear boundaries about who belonged and who didn't. Derek had wanted priority. His needs first, his family first, his crisis first. Parents had wanted peace. Everyone getting along, no conflict, pretending everything was fine. I'd wanted respect. Simple acknowledgement that I mattered as much as Derek did. That my property was mine. That my boundaries deserved consideration. Turns out you can't negotiate for respect. Either someone gives it or they don't. So I'd stopped negotiating. Started enforcing. Family homes are for families. They'd just never specified which family they meant. Vanessa had meant hers. Derek and the kids and the people who fit her definition of what family should look like. I meant mine. Claire and me and the life we were building. The boundaries we respected. The choices we made together. The sun disappeared below the horizon and the sky stayed light for a while. That in-between time where day hasn't quite decided to become night. My phone was silent. No calls from Mom, no texts from Derek. No family drama requiring my attention or sacrifice or compliance. Just quiet. And Claire. And a beach house my grandmother had left specifically to me because she'd seen something in our family dynamic that I'd taken too long to recognize. Some people aren't worth keeping. Some families aren't worth the cost of admission. Some rules need to be turned around and used against the people who made them. Vanessa had written the playbook. I just read it more carefully than she'd expected. Family homes are for families. She'd made that rule. I just followed it. And my family was right here. Not 30 miles away sleeping on my parents' couch. Not in some group chat I wasn't invited to. Right here. Mine.